Hello, guys, and welcome back to Tech Talk with Ethan. And today I'm here with Caledonia Hanson, who is a production designer, writer, and actress. She has produced some shows including Soul Shop, Schemes of Crimson. Um, and thank you, Caldo, for joining me today.
Hi, it's good to be here.
Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do in those fields?
Sure. So I'm Caledonia Hanson, and I'm not an actress or producer. I wish, though. I know I have the movie star looks for it, but uh, so I'm a production designer, art director. I have done construction coordination, prop making, prop mastering. I think I've medaled just about everywhere in the art department of film, TV, and theater that you can think of. So
Nice. You do Orange County School of the Arts, correct?
I did. I am a graduate at the Orange County School of the Arts
Go,
for the
OSHA.
film and TV. From OSHA, yeah. Go OSHA. Film and TV.
I actually go to art school too, Renaissance High School for the Arts in downtown Long Beach.
Um,
Were you planning to go into the entertainment industry in high school?
I think in high school, I knew what I wanted to do, but when I had graduated from OSHA, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go the art direction or even potentially writing, because I still have a very big passion for writing, nonfiction and fiction. So for a while, I did go to the Sonoma State University with the idea of studying communications and mobile studies. And I think after a while, I realized I really miss film. I miss being on set. I miss that very unique family disposition everyone has. I like how there's absolutely no personal space whatsoever with people. And I know that sounds weird, but like I said, you really get to know people when you're, making a movie or when you're on, a stage, not just for film, but also just for theater in general. So
Nice. What conservatory were you in?
film and television.
Nice. So and then they're different conservatories, right? So like that's like how many conservatories do they have at OSHA? Do you know? Or when you were there?
I'm gonna throw an oddball number, and it's probably gonna be wrong.
No problem.
I have OSHA friends watching this, so they'll probably make fun of me for this. But oh god, this is gonna be horribly wrong. I just know it 12. I don't know. But we have music and theater. We have ballet folklorico. Oh man, I just botched that. Sorry, Spanish folklorico. I still botched that. Oh man, we have all kinds of dances. We have, just about everything. When I graduated, we had a culinary arts conservatory that was brand new and a digital media as well.
Nice.
I think my only regret, as much as I absolutely adored, film and TV, I met my best friend, Kinsey, who's now more of my family in that conservatory, but they did have a production design one. And it wasn't necessarily just for film, it was more so, I think, for the theater aspect. And I think if I had known more about it, maybe I would have gone for that. But either way, I don't completely regret film and TV. Great experience.
So you're a production designer. Could you explain what a production designer does?
Certainly. So a production designer for film is the key lead to designing everything you see on screen. So the job of the production designer is more or less to, they're the one who's in charge of the color palette. They figure out, how is this room going to look? Is it going to be grungy? Is it going to be clean? Is it going to be whatever? And so once the production designer has a good feel for how the film is going to look, that's when the art director steps into place. And from there, it's a trickle down jobs with set decoration. Sometimes we have concept artists. I like doing my own personally. It helps me, it helps me really get to know what the set's about, because every set isn't just a room, it's a character. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Because someone at one point never lived in this room. And at some point, no one will live in this room. So what's the lifespan of this room for this character?
That's a great way to put it. I love how you put that. That was like, it's true. It does have, character and, all that. So you work very closely with the line designer on lights for that, correct? Right?
What was that?
You work very closely with the line designer for the show, right?
Oh, yeah. So I call this the Holy Trinity. I don't think anyone else calls it this. But the Holy Trinity consists of myself, the production designer, the director, and then the DP or the cinematographer. And the reason why I call us the Holy Trinity is because we are the key stones that make up, how's the film look? What is the film and how are we going to film it? And so the cinematographer on the set is usually my best friend. I know it makes people uncomfortable, but I always make it very clear. I'm like, from this day forward, you are my work husband and or wife, or just, my spouse, for all my non-binary babes out there. And, it sounds awkward, but, it requires communication. It requires consistent communication. So if I feel as though I can't call the director or the cinematographer and say, I have a question, I have an idea, I have a concern, and if I feel as though I'm not being listened to or someone's not getting back to me or respecting my time, then that's going to show exactly what kind of, I don't want to say issues necessarily, but how the show is going to run itself.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to have in your role specifically to have good communication skills so you can communicate what you need to the director and all that.
Exactly.
Um, you've worked in various aspects of film and television. Do you have a favorite like show you've produced or helped produced?
I feel like I'm being asked who my favorite child is at the moment. Um,
It's sort of like that.
oh God, I'm an awful mother, but okay. Well, I know this sounds cliche, but I really do almost like every single film I've worked on. I think I have more of a list of shows that I did not like working on for a number of reasons. But I'm on a film right now. We're actually shooting 2 weeks today.
Nice.
And I think it's going to be my favorite because it's really challenging me as a designer because it is in the style of 1950s. And so I get to really play around with, like what does a kitchen look like in the 50s? What does a middle school look like in the 50s? What products were available at the time that have changed, if they're still around today?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of fun being able to, really showcase what I can do. And this film, I think, is going to really do that for me because all the other films I worked on, I love, each one was a learning opportunity that I don't regret. And I know that, again, that sounds weird, but, I really don't, and I think very fondly of every memory I've ever made. So, yeah, I don't really have a favorite, but the one coming up might be.
What show is that?
So it's called Sunnyvale. And
Interesting.
shout out to the director, my homeboy Ronnie. I'll be seeing him tomorrow. Can't wait to tell him about this. If he's not listening, which he should. But, shout out to actually all my crew, Celia, Matt, Yoni, all my husbands and wife.
That's great. Um, so you're also a writer, correct?
Yes.
You wrote your first book when you were 15, correct?
It was a comic book, actually. Yeah.
Oh,
So
nice.
definitely not really writing, but being able to publish something that I made was still absolutely phenomenal.
Nice. What was the comic book about?
It was called Green Eyes, and it started off in kind of a unique story. Okay, not too unique, but give myself credit, I guess. I had the biggest crush on this guy in high school, and I felt like I couldn't talk to him for a number of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had made a comic, not a comic, like a one-page comic, and I'd slipped it into his locker. And that kept up for a tiny bit until I was found out, and I actually ended up being kind of bullied about it when people found out. Still
Mm-hmm.
no regrets. However, I realized I have a really cute idea. So Green Eyes is more of a slice of life, talking about motivational aspects of just, living your best life possible. So yeah.
Nice. That's quite an accomplishment for 15, young age.
Thank you. I was an overachiever and I still am.
Well, it's a good thing to strive for, of course. Where'd you get your inspiration for that? Just, I mean, from that experience, you say? of that crush?
Um, I think just, wanting to show myself as a person, but also knowing that it could turn ugly even with the most innocent, intent. And I think it turned out exactly the way I thought it would, which is, it's painful to say, but at the same time, this was, well over 10 years ago. And I look back at those memories fondly now, even the bullying parts, because like I said, it really helped me define my character, define myself as an artist, and to define myself as a storyteller too, because, not many people can say, I published a comic book when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
You
So you guys it got published. I'm guessing. Did it sell very well? Did it was it a hit?
I wish no. It was a self-published thing, but I did sell quite a few copies, which was great.
Nice.
So, yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you.
So back to the film aspect. So you're on set. What does it? Do you choose where, as a production designer, do you choose where you guys film? Like what locations, or is that part of your?
Yes and no. It depends on the project. And I know that that sounds like an odd answer, but the reason why I say that is because the production designer should always see the set beforehand, whether it's a sound stage or, a different location. And the reason why is because it gives me the idea of what can be utilized here. Can we paint this? Can we build around this? So, an example of this would be Barbara Long, who did production design for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for Tarantino. So they use actual locations in Los Angeles, here in Hollywood.
Mhm.
And so she had to see those places along with photographs of how it looked back in the 60s, 70s. And if I think if she had a design around that before seeing the location, then, it just causes a lot of issues. It's, spending money on something you thought you needed, and then you realize there's no room for it, and stuff like that. So, yeah, so, a good film will rely on the the opinion of both the holy trinity, the director, cinematographer, and the production
Yeah.
designer, so
How many hours are you? How many hours do you film usually? How long does that usually? How long are you usually on set for a filming
uh,
day?
anywhere from 12 to 18 hours.
Wow,
There's a
it's quite.
reason why the film industry's slogan is "You can sleep when you're dead."
I've not heard that one, but
Well, now you
but
have.
yeah, exactly. So could you explain like the steps of when you first walk onto a set of a production designer, like what process you go through for a production designer?
So it actually varies from film to film. It really does. So let me walk you through what I'm going to do for the upcoming film I'm on.
Okay.
So we have 12-hour prep day just for art and just for lighting. So what we're going to do is the day before we have a pickup. And what we do by picking up is literally just going to the prop houses and getting everything we have tagged. um we have over 20, I think over 26 costumes that we have to pick up from the costume house. And and then from there, make sure the truck or trucks are completely secure. And the next day we go in right on the dot. I am always half an hour to an hour early, just in case something goes wrong. And I know it's an awful mindset to have, but my whole thing is I'm a realist. Whatever can go wrong probably will go wrong. And I want to prevent that before anything even happens.
Definitely.
So once the time is clocked in, now time is money. If we have only 12 hours, we're paying those 12 hours. That means I have to organize my team and be able to go in and say, okay, you guys are the ones who are going to be putting this stick on countertop to make the kitchen look more 50s. While you're doing that, myself and the person are the ones who are the set dressers are going to be the one to put up curtains, put up, tablecloth and so forth. And from there, we also do an inventory check to ensure that everything we got made it to the set. And if it didn't, did we lose it? Did they forget to give it to us? If it's broken, who's to blame, and how are we going to pay for this?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's typically it. It's just we have a whole build day, and the build day can be dependent on what the film is. So, it's like if you're going to do an actual physical build of construction, you're going to need a couple of days, if not weeks, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
know? So,
Yeah, it makes sense. To have the extra time to build up. Do you think it was beneficial to go to art school for your career, especially Usher?
I definitely think OSHA has propelled me in ways that I'm grateful for, and I think I'm still not in a place where I'm as grateful as I should be. Like, I'm not taking it for granted, or anything like that. It's just more of when I went to OSHA, I think I didn't realize how many opportunities and how many people I was meeting and having. And I still contact with, I get jobs from people, because I went to school. And I always tell people, school is important when it comes to, learning the technology, learning the basic skills, learning whatever. But at the end of the day, the reason why I think going to OSHA and even the LA Film School, which I graduated with a degree in production design,
Nice.
is the connections. A lot of my jobs are word of mouth. It's reputation. And also being able to learn from others' mistakes, which sounds awful, but learning from your mistakes and others' mistakes at OSHA taught me a lot as to how to mature myself as a professional and a person, and I will never regret it at all. However, I'm going to say this to everyone who's watching, whether you're a high school student, potential college student, or whatever, or you never went, but you kind of wish you did. I'm going to say this. Don't kick yourself if you don't get accepted, if you didn't get to go to art school. Because at the end of the day, your success is based on you. You are your own business. You are your own success. You are only as good as you present yourself to be. And although, an art school is an opportunity to, really expand yourself in ways, the world is your stage. It literally is. And you can literally learn anything and be very successful. Because some of my favorite production designers didn't go to school for film and TV. So, you know.
That's great advice. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Great advice for anyone out there who is looking to go into production design or anything in theater. How'd you get into production design? Back to school.
How did I get into production design as
Yeah.
a student
Yes.
or
Yeah.
as a career?
As a career, or did you do it in school? Then I'm guessing you did it at OSHA then, right?
I didn't do as much. I mean, I got an award when I was at OSHA for best production design in my junior year, and I sadly lost that in a house fire back in 2017. So, but I have the reward in my trophy case of a heart, so that's
Yes.
what matters.
Yes.
Career wise, it's a little special. It's a little special story for me. So one of my favorite movies of all time, one of my biggest inspirations is Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow from 1999.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember sitting down and watching that film and being absolutely amazed. Not as at the storyline, but at this town, which I found out was built in a soundstage. That wasn't a location, that was a soundstage. I fell in love with every little detail as to what made, this a possibility. So, Rick Heinrichs, the production designer, I idolize him. He's one of the people who I would absolutely love to have coffee with and just really pick his brain, but I'm digressing. I watched that film, and I am not joking, probably 1,000 times. I watch
Wow.
it at least 5 times around October, November. And I still see something I always miss. You think you know everything, but you don't. But watching this film as a child, not a child, it was rated R, but whatever. As as a preteen, I realized I want to do that. I really want to do that. I want to take pieces of wood and make it into something it's not. I want to take PVC piping and make it look like actual metal. I want to be able to look at something and go, haha, I tricked you. It's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
And the defining moment for me is like, yeah, Rick Heinrichs was one of my biggest inspirations, but the one person who really pushed me into my career was when I saw the movie. Sorry, I mean, emotional. When I saw the movie The Artist, and I fell in love, and that's my. I looked at my mom. I'm like, I can't do anything else. I just can't. This
Yeah.
is what I want to do. And
Yeah.
Lawrence Bennett, the production designer, is an absolute genius.
Hmm.
So
That's
that's how
great.
I got into production design, and I'm crying. Sorry.
Don't worry. Don't worry, you're doing fine. It's good. It's good to have those special moments. The aha moment. The light bulb moment of being. This is what I want to do. As a career, which
And
I
I
think.
refuse to do anything else. And I don't care what gets in my way. I'm going to find myself there. I don't care what anyone says or does. That's what I'm going to do with my life.
That's great. It's a great motto to go by, and I'm glad you're so determined, because that's a really good aspect to a
Thank you.
really good aspect to have.
Thank you.
No problem. Do you have any hobbies outside of your work?
Oh, I do have hobbies. So I consider myself to be an unusual person. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't mean that in the stereotypical way either. I just mean my interests are solely based in the macabre. It's not my intent. It just kind of is. So some of the things that I do in my free time include I help out foster children through the organization Together We Rise. I myself am
Nice.
adopted, and I'm very passionate about helping, especially older children trying to transition from household to household or an adoption. I also volunteer with the nonprofit One Section at a Time, which is to help restore the old Woodlawn Cemetery in Compton, which has been more or less abandoned.
Nice.
Outside of my volunteering, I like to explore abandoned build and take photos. I am a classic painter, so can be found painting. I'm a researcher. My whole library here at my home is a research library, and I don't know where I got this from, a weird obsession with architecture. So I studied the last 500 years of American architecture.
Wow, that's crazy.
Even when it comes to the Native American tribes, like how did they build this and
Hmm.
all this other stuff. So
Nice. Well,
yeah.
that's and this is like, so the painting, you didn't do any painting. Did you paint in school when you were at OSHA, or was that not? Would you not paint at OSHA? Was that?
I didn't paint at OSHA, and I didn't really take any formal classes. Everything I learned was either when I was in elementary school where we actually had the art program.
Hmm.
But after that, I was just self-taught.
Yeah, that's a good thing, that free time and all that goodness. Um, I think you also mentioned Irish dancing. How did you get into Irish dancing?
uh, so shout out to my boys, the Plow Boys, who are an Irish Scottish band here in Los Angeles. So about 2 blocks away from me, I live next to one of the oldest Scottish pubs in Los Angeles called the Tam O'Shanter,
Mm,
and it's turning 100 years old in the next 2 years, I believe.
wow.
And so May of last year, I had taken a friend and just had nice dinner and everything, and behold, the Plow Boys were playing, and I found out where they kind of go, and that's when I met a Irish dance group called the Caledonia, which is Gaelic, and they teach Irish dancing. So I do Irish social dancing when COVID's not a thing. I go Irish social dancing the first Wednesday of every month at a bar in North Hollywood.
Nice. That seems. Is it so? Is that so? It's a class then you take, and then you learn how to dance,
Oh,
right? And
heck
you,
no, no, no. It's a bar, which means, if you need
yeah,
liquid courage, it's there. But for the most part, it's just they're dancing,
nice. That's
they
great.
show you, but the band's playing, there's, alcohol, and then, it's a good time. And I just said,
Yeah.
you know what? I danced as a kid growing up. I can do this, and I could.
Nice. That's did you do ballet or did you do any other dance as a kid?
I did a little ballet when I was a kid, but I did things like ballroom dance. I'm very good at the East and West Coast swing. I've done. Oh my God. Whoever's watching this probably learning more about me than I've ever told them. But belly dancing, I did belly dancing at one point. So I mean, almost I did hip hop. Almost any dance you could think of, I probably did at least at one point. But Irish was new, and Irish is a lot of both quick step and ballet at the same time.
Nice. So it's a
River,
combination.
it is, yeah. So like
Nice.
river dancing is a whole different level, but Irish social dancing, yeah, it's a lot of calf work. It's a lot of
Yeah.
being on your toes. It's yeah.
That's great.
Thank
I
you.
yeah. So speaking of pandemic, we're obviously in a pandemic. The biggest pandemic we've had, in a while. How's that affected your work in film?
So the film industry closed back in March, and when I say it's reopening, it's kind of reopening. I think everyone in film isn't sure how to move forward. There's people in very small groups who are still making commercials, obviously, if you're paying attention to, no matter if you're
Yeah.
watching TV, cable, Hulu, whatever. But when it comes to productions, I think the only productions right now, or up until this point, were either student films or very independent films. But it's been a journey for everyone to try to figure out, how do we open this safely? How are we able to be as inclusive as we were about how many jobs we had? And I joked, at one point, I don't know, I think it was actually before the thing started, but I had mentioned, Ethan, that when you're on a set, there's no such thing as personal space, and there really isn't.
Yeah.
It's so with that in mind, but we can't have that with COVID. So a
Hmm.
film I worked on a few weeks ago, we have a COVID officer and everything, and they were just, there to make sure that we're staying apart when we can.
Hmm.
So if my team and I were carrying something, then it's like, okay, that's fine,
Yeah.
but please remain distance when you can. We have, you know, hand sanitizer, we had, mandatory hand washing breaks and everything. And then when we had lunch, we all had to sit, as if we were all being punished,
In your
So
corner.
yeah, like go to your
Yeah.
corner, eat your food, and think about what you've done. And it's like, oh,
Yep.
oh, okay, Dad, okay, Mom. But,
Yeah.
I think moving forward, this is teaching the film industry and even the theater industry just what needs to be done to ensure health of everyone, not just actors, but everyone on set. So this is a whole new thing that's going to create a renaissance for anyone in film and theater.
Exactly. Do you think this industry will rise from the ashes from this occasion? Do you think we'll get back to film and theater again?
Oh, definitely. So I'm that's why I'm calling it a renaissance right now. A lot of people I can tell feel very jaded about everything going on, and that's fair. Everything everyone's feeling right now, especially in the film industry and the theater industry, is feeling a loss that, a lot of people can't fully explain. And I know a lot of people have been having the worries, but I don't feel worried. And I think the reason why is because I know, like a phoenix,
Yeah.
the theater and the film industry will rise from the ashes bigger and better. Because we've had these stumbles before in film, but a lot of
Hmm.
people, don't make those connections. And I don't mean about the pandemic. I'm talking about like back in the Red Scare. The Red Scare actually did, stop a lot of production, and then we had a whole list of things that we weren't even allowed to film.
Yeah.
It's just about, this is just what's going on right now. We're going to learn from it, like we did in every single hiccup in the film and theater industry, and we're just going to become that much better. So yeah, this isn't the end, this is the beginning.
I definitely agree with that, and I mean, I think that the entertainment industry has been around for so long, and it can't die. Obviously, businesses can die, but I think it can still we can still be continue with the entertainment industry. There's still more shows coming out and all that, so I think we will not. This is not the end.
I don't think so, because as long as someone has a camcorder, as long as someone wants to make a costume, as long as someone has a script on them,
Yep,
there's always going to be a movie, there's always going to be a play, there's always going to be a musical,
exactly.
there's always going to be television.
Definitely, for sure. For sure. As we wrap it up here, guys, is there anything you would like to promote about yourself for social medias, people, a website people can see your work?
Certainly. So, I am proud to say my website is up and running now with my own domain. So, if you type in caledoniahanson.com, you will find my art website. It will have my portfolio. In the future, it'll have an updated reel. It has my resume and everything. So, go and take a look. It has stills from the movies I've worked on, not just as a production designer, but as an art director, a graphic designer, and so forth. It's still being worked on, but the website is up if you want to look. Social media for is again Caledonia Hanson, no space, all lowercase on Instagram. And I don't think I think those are my two main things. So if you want
Guys.
to stalk me and my work, now you can.
Oh, that's great. But again, Caledonia, thank you so much for joining us today, and it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry, I had said this earlier as well off screen, but I wanted to just say this
No problem.
to everyone who's watching. I'm disabled, and it's extremely hard working in an industry that's ableist. And I want everyone who's watching this to know that if you want to go into film or theater and you're worried, well, what if I won't get a job because I'm in a wheelchair, or I'm blind, or I'm deaf, or I'm something? Just keep going, because something I keep telling people is, I'm very vocal about my disabilities as well. And I know some people, including like my mom, are just like, maybe don't talk about it if you want to get a job. I'm like, well, I think it's a great thing to hire a disabled person, because we're keeping up with you. So for every 2 steps you're taking, we're taking 4. And that means we want to be there probably even, more than you do. So whoever's watching this, no matter what your disability is, or you feel like you might be discriminated against, we got this. That's all I say.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time.